Hello, this is the Cobra RM40SPCE, which is a 16-inch rotary mower with a roller, and it's a Cobra engine that's got an electric start. So this is how it's supplied to you in this cardboard box. So what I'm going to do is just open the box up and then we can get it out, and I'll show you exactly how to assemble it and get it ready for mowing your lawn. So here it is, all unpacked from the box, and we've taken off all the protective bubble wrap and film to protect it while it's in transit. So we've got the main mower here, big mower there with the roller on it, and then we've got the grass collection box, which I'll show you just how to finish putting that together in a few minutes time. I'll also show you how to put the handlebars up on this. We've got the manuals that you need. There's a manual for the engine and one for the mower itself. This one is electric start and pull start, so there is the charger for the electric start part of it. We've got a couple of cable clips there for the handlebars, nuts and bolts for the handlebars, spark plug socket, a spare start key which I'll talk to you about in a few minutes, and of course a bottle of oil for when we fuel it up. So everything you need is there, except for one thing. You will need a 13mm spanner to be able to put the handlebars on, or a socket of the same size. So what we'll do is we'll start with the handlebars. I'm going to take the glass box out the way for now and we'll assemble this. So what we need to do is to lift this off like this, because of the way it's travelled, we've got to twist it round, and all will become clear when I twist that round like that to get it into the right place. So it's important that we twist that round to get it right. Okay, so we've got that there. So this is going to be the handle when we do it. So we'll just do a little bit of preparation before we can attach it. On the end of these handlebars here, we've got these plastic protectors that were there when it was in the cardboard box. So we need to get rid of those. They can be thrown away. And likewise here, we've got two more that we need to take off, and they can also be disposed of like that. And then the nuts and bolts that we need to attach it, we're just going to take those apart. It just saves us having to mess about with them when we're trying to hold it in place. So I'm just going to get those ready. So now we can unfold the handlebar and you just need to sort of put a bit of pressure on that, like that, and you can bend it into a shape. So if I just pull that apart, and that one, it will drop down, because what we need to do is offer up the base of this. Just make sure that that's in the way and they're out the way, just so it can bend. And we're going to do that, and it will self-support itself in that sort of like an A-frame, as you can see. And they fit on the outside of the red brackets just here. And then what we can do, we can line up the holes, as you can see there. They've got a square in them, and that's so that the bolt has got a square end. It's just to stop it turning when we get it in there. And then onto that we can put our flat washer, followed by a spring washer, and then we can put on the nut. And at this stage we're just going to put the nuts on finger tight, and then we can go around with the spanner. So we'll just repeat the same here. Just sometimes you have to give them a little bit of a wiggle just to get them into position. There we go, and repeat that with the washers. Okay, and then I'm going to do that this side, and then we can get the spanner out. Right, so they're now finger tight. So what I can do then is just to get the spanner and just tighten those. We want them nice and tight, otherwise the handlebars are going to shake and vibrate. So just tighten those off so that they tighten onto that spring washer. Oh, that flattens out. Same with that one. Once that side done, and then we'll repeat that on this side. So that's all 4 nuts tightened onto the bolts, nice and secure. and that's it now. We've finished with the spanner. That can go back in your toolbox. And then the final part of this is to bring up the handlebar. It's adjustable, this, so you can adjust this to the height that you want. So if you're tall, you'll have it further up. If you're like me, not so tall, you'll probably have it about that position. And then we lock those into place, making sure that we don't trap any of the cables, just with these red handles here. And I'll do this side there. It just clamps together and that holds that securely into place. What we can also do while we're working on the handlebars is do something with these various cables, and we've got 2 clamps for that. First one is this one here. This holds these 3 cables, and each one fits into one of the little notches at the top. So I find the easiest way is to actually just put the cables into position and then sit that on the tubular steel and just push it down, and it clamps on like that, and that holds everything in place and stops them flapping about. The second clip is to hold this almost like a tube, so I'm going to clip that onto there, and then what you've got to do is just lever it out a little bit. So just pull it out, use a little bit of force. It is very flexible, and that clips on like that. It can't come out then, and then that is again not flopping around, so when you're mowing in the garden you're not going to catch it with a shrub or anything like that. So that is now the handlebars attached, top and bottom, cables all secure. So I'm just going to push that forward a minute, because the next thing we can look at is the grass collection box here. It's more or less put together, to be fair. What it's got, a couple of things we need to do. First of all, we've just got this one piece at the bottom to attach, and it's got just a rubber clip here. It's just where the rubber is molded, and it's got to hook around this steel there. Now, when these are cold, they're quite stiff and rigid, so I find a little tip is just with your fingers, just loosen it out. You can see how I'm opening that out, just teasing it out, and the more you do that, the softer it becomes, and the easier it will be to hook over when we take it to this side. And there you go, look at that, it's gone on so simple, that has. So that's all you need to do, and then remove these end pieces of plastic. These are put on just for transit, so just get your thumb behind them and click them off like that. They can be thrown away as well, we don't need them anymore. And then just to attach that onto the mower, it's very simple. If we lift this main flap, this is obviously where the grass clippings will all be blown out when we're cutting the grass, and we've got these 2 stainless steel springs for the flap. We're going to just hook our grass box over them like that. So that's then held firmly into position, and then when we put the flap down, then it holds it even more on and the grass can't get out. And just a little piece to show you there in case you're not aware of it, this little flap here, this red flap, when we're mowing the grass, the draft of the air going through makes that flap. When it stops flapping, it means it's because it's full of grass and it's time to empty it. So there we go. So that is it assembled. So now we need to get it ready for mowing, and what we need to do, of course, is to put some fuel in it. So we've got petrol in there, and we need to put some oil in it as well. So the petrol is this one, that is the oil. So we'll start with the petrol in here, and you can use petrol that you get from the petrol station, the E10. Just bear in mind that modern petrol doesn't store as well as the old petrol. It goes stale, it basically goes off. So always use fresh petrol. Don't use some that you've had in a can for the last year in a shed or something like that. And never leave it in the mower for more than about a month, because again it will start to go stale. And what you should do at the end of the season, when you've finished mowing and you're putting the mower away for winter, is to use all the petrol in the tank. Run the mower until it runs dry, and that way you're not going to get any petrol in the tank or the pipe work or the carburettor that are going to go stale. Otherwise it will really struggle to start next year. You can also put a stabilizer in there, an additive that you mix in with the petrol, and that just again keeps the engine running more efficiently, it keeps it clean and just stops it going stale as quickly. So that is the fuel in there. And then what we can do is then add some oil, and if I come round to this side, this is where the oil is in here. Just going to take that off, and we've got the yellow dipstick there, which is a twisting one on a thread, and we take that out. You can see there's no oil in there. Sometimes there is a residue, that just means it's been factory tested. So this is the oil that's provided with it, this 4-stroke engine oil. There's 0.6 of a litre, 600 millilitres of oil in there, and that's exactly what this engine needs. So we're going to put all of this into our engine. So it's just a case of pouring that in gently. You could use a funnel if you wish, but it's quite a big hole to pour it into, just nice and steady so it can go down into the engine. And then once we've got it all in, we can check it with the dipstick just to make sure that it's all okay. Put the top on, and then just going to get my tissue, pop that into there, wind it down, that's the way to do it, and then take it out again. This is new oil, so it's quite difficult to see, but on the base there of the dipstick we've got a little sort of serrated area there, and that is the lower and the upper limit that the oil should be, and I can see there that it is just to there at the top, so that's perfect. And what you'd also do, of course, when you've got the engine running, once it's been running for a while, is check the oil just to make sure that it's still the right level, just in case it needs any top up, but it shouldn't do if you put the 600 millilitres in there. So we're all fueled up. So what we can do now is lift that down off the bench, and I'll go through the starting procedure with you. Just a little tip before you start the mower, and this applies to every time you start it, but especially when it's new, because in the box the height of cut will be on the lowest setting, number 1, and as you can see here, it's actually touching the floor. So if you try to start it now, it will not only damage your lawn, but it will strain the engine because it's just making contact with the grass too much. So lift it up so you've got air getting in there and a good clear gap, and then once you've got the engine running, you can then put it down to the desired cutting height that you want. So that's a tip whenever you start the mower. This mower has 2 ways of starting it. It's got the traditional pull start, or it's also got an electric start. So to put this in the position on the handlebar, what we do is we push back the red lever on the handlebar and just gently pull that out. It just takes the compression out the engine, and then we can hoop it round this little clip here. So in future, if you do use this as a means of starting, you've got it there to pull instead of having to bend right down there. The other method to start it is electric, and it's got in here, if I just push this button here, there is a little flap that reveals a battery there that's built into this little console at the top next to your drink holder, by the way. So that's the battery, so we can use this as an electric start. We have to charge the battery every now and again, and it comes complete with a battery charger, so keep that somewhere safe, and that plugs into a little hole just here. So there is where we would plug that in and we're charging it, and there's a light on there that will go green when it's fully charged, and it will start the mower lots and lots of times from a full battery, so you don't have to do it every time. And then to use that, what we would do is we would push this start button here. So the start button, which you get a spare for, you can actually take out if you want to. If you wanted to make this so that children can't start it, then take that out and it's impossible to start the mower when that is removed. So I'm just going to push that back into position like that. Looking at the controls on the handlebar itself, we need to use a choke to start this mower. So this lever here is the choke. It's not a throttle, it doesn't affect the revs, it's just to start it. So you would push it down into the choke position to start, and when the engine fires up, then you can gradually pull it back into that position so that the engine runs smoothly. And starting is very simple. You have to pull back the red lever. It won't start without the red lever, and then you can either pull the start choke on, of course, if it's cold, you can pull the cord to start it, or you can push the red button to start it, and then it's running. And then what we would do to go forward is we push the black lever in, and that engages the drive, and away we go. So we'll give it a go. We'll try it on the electric start. Bear in mind, this machine hasn't been started. It's brand new out of the box, so it sometimes takes a little while to turn over. So I've got the choke on to start with, I've got the red lever back, and I'm going to push the button. And then the choke off. And just to show you how the pull works in case you need to use it, exactly the same. I'm going to put the choke on, which you would do if the engine's cold. I'm going to pull back the lever and give it a pull. There it is.
Remember to register your Cobra online at www.cobragarden.co.uk, and always have your Cobra serviced regularly. Check the website for your nearest dealer.